This is it. It's the real thing. It is a Tuesday on the beat. It's a Talking Tuesday. And it's a Talking Texas Tuesday.
Ooh, nice.
The opener is here. Welcome to the real deal. Again, it's not just, can we speculate? Could we hypothetically ask questions? Do we have some answers? No, this is the Ryan Day press conference, game week for Texas. And we are going to get television's Adam King to give us his thoughts, what he's going to ask the Ohio State coach today. I'm just Austin Worth.
First of all, can you believe we've been doing this now for 4 months? We dreamed of this day back in May when we started.
Someday we're going to get to the point
where we can ask
there's press conferences and a game to cover.
Exactly.
And then a notebook on Saturday.
It's amazing. You know what I'm wearing right now? I'm so excited. I got makeup on.
Game week makeup.
Game week makeup just for this.
You are already ready to get into the Woody later today, which is Tuesday.
I am beyond excited. The first question is very simple. Something that, I had a couple conversations with coaches off to the side, and it's the thing that's been bugging me the most. Not bugging me, but I'm very much wondering, what is this game plan going to look like?
You're going to go in?
Yes.
And ask Ryan Day, what is the game plan?
Ryan, if you could lay out first 20 or so plays. I don't need the whole game plan.
Just the initial script.
Yes. No, but I want to know, in their eyes, is this game plan for Texas, or is this game plan to help our team ease into things? And so this past week was going to be really telling for these guys, because it was their opportunity where they turned the page from fall camp, where they turned the page from training camp, and they had the opportunity to kind of see these guys at full go. You saw Julian with the ones. Did it look better? Did we finally get to see what we heard from Ryan, which was we want him to take that step once he knows he's the guy? If you saw what you need to see there, does it allow you enough to take this game plan? It's not going to look like Oregon, again, in the Rose Bowl.
Sure.
But when you look at Oregon in the Rose Bowl, that was Ryan Day so confident in his own team that he did what he wanted. Like, it was not his players
dictating. Watch this, going to throw to G. Scott to start the game.
Exactly. It was not his players dictating the plan. It was his plan and his players executing to perfection.
Yeah.
I imagine to start the season, it's the opposite. I imagine to start the season, you have to let your players and what they can do, and easing into this, dictate what you can do. So how much of that, where are you in terms of that? Are you happy?
Yeah.
Hey, we are at a good pace where I feel like we're not going to go out there and just play the bare bones? Or is this a case where you're going up against Texas, but this is still a game plan that's in the works? These are still guys that don't have reps. They've got to get the reps together, because that's the only thing that stinks about this game. This game is amazing, but it's not the word clunky.
I know what you mean.
And I don't like that, because I know that these are two of the best teams in college football. We saw it so much on Saturday in actual football. Finally, back in week 0, clunkiness was everywhere.
Yeah, there will be that. That's what openers are always about. Week 1, even if they played in week 3, Ohio State and Texas, I think it would look a lot different. Arch Manning, Julian Sayin, both. The chance to get reps, and then you expand out from there. Getting hit for real, not just a scrimmage where you may pull off just a little bit. You're trying very hard to win a job if you're Ohio State, you're in training camp, but you're not trying to hurt your teammates. Mm-hmm. You get into the real thing, real bullets flying, as the coaches like to say, and that's a different speed, that's a different physicality, and there's no way to duplicate that in scrimmage settings, in a training camp. And then you get out, and it's Ohio State and Texas, two of the hardest hitting teams in college football. That's going to favor the defense. So as you said, what's the game plan look like? How quickly can Julian Sayin get rolling? Vice versa, when you get to this matchup, is Arch Manning on the road against Ohio State's defense going to be in position to succeed? We'll see. You know that there's going to be penalties. You know that there's probably going to be turnovers. This is going to look disjointed at times. That's just what happens in openers. And maybe by the time that they rematch in the playoff, which I think is very likely to happen, or potentially could happen, they look a lot different. So Ohio State has put so much emphasis, and you've heard it, Adam, every time we've been in there. The countdown to the opener has shifted. It's not talking about Michigan at the end of the year. It's been the number of days until kickoff against Texas, because Ryan Day has been trying to get them ready to win this particular game. And I think, it's not going to look like other openers, to your point. You have to take what everybody does well. You know what Jeremiah does. You know what Carnell does. You know what Sonny does. Caleb Downs on down the road. Is that how close to a full end of season game plan can Ohio State get? I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. Well, that's why we have Talking Tuesday.
And that's why Ryan Day is just going to give you that game plan that you asked for. I'm glad you're there to do that.
And he's going to laugh at me, and I'm going to play the exit the win. The other thing, and you kind of touched on it there, and I don't think you can ever know until you know. I never played quarterback. I don't know if you played quarterback at Ohio State.
Not at Ohio State.
Okay, all right.
Does video games count?
It does. I would like to.
Does junior high Wyoming football count?
That is literally the toughest of football. Yeah. When you think about it, that's up there.
It's up there.
I just wonder how much can you actually replicate the pressure in practice? And Julian Sayin has not gone in a live game against the ones of a football team since high school.
Right.
And so I don't know if he could properly explain this. I think he would almost have to go inside his mind. But I would love to ask Ryan, what was that first rep like for you when you were the starting quarterback? Mm-hmm. And because subconsciously you know that Edric Houston is not going to touch you. CJ Hicks is not going to tackle you. You know that.
Yeah.
And so in your mind, it gives you, even if it's 0.02 seconds more, to think, how do you transfer that over, knowing that not only are you opening game one and trying to get that feeling, but you're getting that feeling against some of the best defenders in the entire country, whose sole goal is to post on Instagram pictures of Julian Sayin like they're trying, that was craziness. Like they're coming after him.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to switch your clock in your head? Because for the past 8 months, that's what they've been practicing with. They went live a couple times in camp, in spring ball, which I like. But at the end of the day, even when you're live in spring ball, you know Edric Houston's not coming in to ruin your day.
Yeah, it's different. I think that's, again, that doesn't apply just to Julian Sayin in this game. I think there's just been this assumption that Arch Manning is going to be the greatest gift to quarterback of all time.
It's true.
Which maybe he will be. I don't know. I'm skeptical that that's true.
I am skeptical, and I completely agree with you. Don't mean to cut you off.
You're fine.
But I will say,
it's a talking
he
Tuesday.
has played games. That's the only thing he has up, was when Ewers was hurt, he got real reps in real games. Not against Ohio State talent, but that matters.
Yeah, I don't think Mississippi State is the same thing as Ohio State,
No.
but it is meaningful experience. You're right about that. So I think, Texas, and there's also a difference in the amount of time that he's had in that Longhorns system and the comfort and all that. That's fine. But I just feel like it's the same situation. You're going on the road to the horseshoe. You are going to play one of the most talented defenses in the country. You are facing a scheme that is going to look very different than the one that Jim Knowles used and that Arch Manning and Quinn Ewers prepared for in the Cotton Bowl, which, by the way, they weren't very successful in that scenario. They scored 14 points, and then when they had a chance to tie it late, something happened.
This guy scooped it. He Sawyered it.
Okay, he scored. That's right. It's called a Sawyer.
Yeah.
But that's also a reminder as we put in, expectations for what's going to happen on Saturday. Both Texas and Ohio State are loaded on defense. Both of them are starting a new starting quarterback, one with slightly more experience than the other. And the last time that these two teams played, it was a knockdown, drag-out fight at the end of a year when they both knew what they wanted to do on offense and defense. And it was incredibly difficult, tough sledding for them to do so. So I think that is why when you're talking about the game plan, when you're talking about Julian Sayin, when you're figuring out what is this matchup going to look like, you have to keep that in mind. It is going to come down to, in my mind, and maybe Ryan Day can't put it in these terms, maybe won't put it in these terms, maybe doesn't believe about it in these terms. The team that's going to make fewer mistakes in this game and maybe plays a more conservative game and wins by running the football and stopping the run, probably a good formula for this one. It won't necessarily, in my mind, be a showcase for what Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate and Brandon Ennis do.
You sounded just like Ryan Day there. I was wondering if you were playing a recording. The team who makes the least mistakes, runs the football, establish the run.
But I know that's accurate. It's not fun to think about it in those terms.
It's the same thing with doing routine plays routinely. It's accurate.
Is the T-shirt ready yet?
We've heard it 1,000 times, but it's true. The other thing, and I'm sticking on offense because, and I give Ryan Day credit with this, and I more so give Matt Patricia credit with this. I don't think that Ryan Day is going to be that involved with the defense on Saturday for good reason. I don't think he needs to be.
Right.
I think you are handing it over to a guy who has 3 shiny Super Bowl rings. Bill Belichick was a defensive mind, but even Bill Belichick let Matt Patricia lead that room. And that allows Ryan Day to be there for these guys. And one of those guys that's massive is Brian Hartline.
Okay.
The first game that Brian Hartline is on his own calling the offense as the offensive coordinator is against Texas. He's a very humble guy in his answers. He doesn't want to flaunt that he's settling into his role because every day he says he wants to learn more and more. Mm-hmm. I wonder how comfortable he actually is. And he does look comfortable out there from what we can see at practices. And he seems to be confident that he is ready for this. But just like the players, how does this look? I mean, there's so many, what's the way to put this? There's so many technical things that go in with just being an offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That almost you try to work out in a game like Akron that have nothing to do with the play call.
Yeah.
And so now you have to do that against Texas. I want to know how involved Ryan is going to be in making that problem. Because I know by the end of the season, Brian Hartline is going to be a fantastic offensive coordinator. But there's going to be growing pains as there is with anything. So how does he help Brian settle into that role?
It was Matt Patricia last week. We asked a bunch of times throughout camp, back in the spring, you're going to be in the box, you're going to be on the field. And that for both coordinators, Matt Patricia and Brian Hartline. And Patricia's like, we're working through that. And he said in the NFL, you actually can run through that protocol because you have another opponent. You're going into the stadium. Sometimes you find out one coordinator, one play caller, one assistant is better upstairs than downstairs or vice versa. Like, I still don't know where they're going to be. It feels like both should be upstairs, but I've also seen like Matt Patricia call defenses for New England on the sideline. I've seen Brian Hartline spend his entire career, both a player and a coach now, spinning that on the field and in that environment. I don't even hazard a guess about where they're going to be.
Matt Patricia was on the sideline for the Seattle win in the Super Bowl for the Patriots, which
it worked out okay.
Yeah, it did. It worked very well. But when I saw that, I thought that's crazy. Like you would think you'd want, Jim Knowles up in the box. It made sense. Jim Knowles he's not a rah-rah guy. He's not going to be on the sideline getting in the face of people.
Yeah.
Matt Patricia might be. Brian Hartline certainly
He definitely is.
And so the only problem here is at some place you're going to gain things by putting him in the box. You're going to give him a different view, but you're going to lose things by having him not down there on the field because he's massive for this team. How do you kind of a major overarching question? How do you balance this out, Ryan? How do you make the decision? Because it may have been Day or it may have been Brian Hartline. It's been 8 months. I'm trying to think of who said it, but somebody made a comment about how you can remove yourself from the game in the box. Mm-hmm. It does not feel like it almost feels like a video game.
It's almost a sterile environment.
Yes, exactly. Like you're just calling a game against a defense, You're not thinking about your guys, how they're reacting. Your sole job is to look at what the Texas is presenting and go against it.
Yeah.
But then you're not down there. You're not in the face of Julian Sayin. And how much does that change things? You're not in the face of Brandon Ennis, Carnell Tate, getting these guys jazzed up. It's a give and take that's going to be tough. And if Brian Hartline's not on the sideline, it's going to be a different vibe, especially for that receiver room.
Yeah, that's the part I tried to ask Brian about that last week. And I understand that they can say, well, it's not going to make any difference. You're going to prepare the same way. If I need to be upstairs, that's best for Ohio State. That's what they're going to do. And I believe that. I understand all that. But that's when we've talked about Ryan Day giving up play calling there, and now you're asking Brian Hartline to do something new for this role, which would potentially be exactly what you're talking about. Being down there in the trenches with the Ohio State wide receivers, being able to go over and have a face-to-face conversation with Julian Sayin, getting the competitive juices flowing. There a number of times burned in my brain just watching Brian Hartline during a television timeout. Just pacing the sideline. He, you can tell he wants to be actually on the field determining that. That's been his entire life. And I think, the close proximity to Diet Cokes and hot dogs in the press box is great, but I don't think he cares about that at all. And I don't think he cares about the sterile environment. I think the competitive nature of Brian Hartline lends itself to him wanting to be on the field. I don't know Matt Patricia. I've known him for 8 months. I've known Brian Hartline a much longer period of time. It's harder in my mind to envision him being upstairs with you and me and just seeing him down in that hallway. That doesn't sound right. It's not going to look right. And I bet for Brian Hartline, it wouldn't feel right. But if it is the thing that is right for Ohio State, then that's where he's going to be.
I will say he was up there for the spring game.
Yeah.
He was in the box. There is a guy that I think could become pivotal if Brian Hartline does stay on the field, and that's Keenan Bailey.
Keenan Bailey, yeah.
Keenan Bailey is up in the box. That's where he's been. And he could become the 100% eyes in the sky for this Ohio State offense. And if that's the case, they gave him a promotion this offseason for a reason. Maybe that's what they're sitting in those offensive rooms discussing is, Brian, if you want to be down there, then Keenan, we're giving you a massive job here.
Yeah.
My last question on this Talking Tuesday to kick off the season. I think sometimes we underestimate the shoe in the environment. And
so you're going to ask the horseshoe a question.
I'm going to ask the horseshoe a question. Mr. Shoe, I genuinely want to know. Because did you hear Dylan Raiola at Big Ten Media Day? He said the number one place that is hardest to play is the shoe.
Yep.
I grew up in Columbus. I grew up going to the shoe. It's an electric environment when it gets electric. I've never thought, like there are times when, I remember in 16 when they were playing Michigan in double overtime.
Yeah.
The place was insane.
It was bonkers.
It was bonkers. And I think about moments like that when Jack intercepted Michigan last year. You couldn't hear yourself think. But I want to ask Ryan, how much does the shoe genuinely impact the game for you guys? And he made it the first time he mentioned Texas all offseason. He said we need the shoe to be absolutely insane. He wants it to be the loudest it's ever been.
Yeah.
He wants Texas to not be able to use,
no clap.
No clap, not their stupid clap. They're going to have to go to a silent count. So in his eyes, and this is kind of silly, but is there a world where he looks around and has a moment on Saturday where he's like, the shoe has actually changed this game? And because I feel like sometimes he gets asked questions like, what's your message for the fans? And his message is always going to be be loud and bring the energy.
Yeah.
But this is a big enough game. And with Arch Manning, think about Penn State against Michigan, that when they came out playing Mo Bamba, we've all seen the video 800 times. Is there a moment this weekend that the shoe can do that and actually change the scheme of this game?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to need to, right?
Yeah.
It's a matchup game. It's talent equated. So what can be the X factor? I think that the noise very much can be that. Everything that I talked about, when I said Arch Manning's on the road, it's not just that he's playing the Silver Bullets. That's a problem all in itself. But communication, handling that environment, that's the challenge then. The Ohio State fans in the horseshoe, they get Buckeye leaves now. If they force a false start or
I know
take a timeout, it's a real thing.
People joke about the towels and stuff, but that's going to be an electric thing to see when they're, at least at the start of the game when they're all
I think it would be better if they had come up with a way to actually give the fans Buckeye leaves, because think about how prized those commodities are. If you just see it on the video board,
those are expensive. They can't. You gotta pay for wide receivers. You can't pay for Buckeye leaves right now.
How expensive can it be to make?
Walk into the Buckeye. What is that? The Buckeye corner. They sell a pack for like $33. I don't know.
Okay, well, I mean, they don't have to be helmet stickers.
Why don't you do that? Why don't you go buy a pack from Buckeye Corner and you give them out to fans individually? You tweet out, the loudest fans, I will find you, and I will hand you a Buckeye leaf.
Okay. If this video gets 100,000 views,
Austin will hand out Buckeye leaves.
I will hand out Buckeye leaves
individually to the loudest fans.
Then I might be able to afford that.
That's fair. That is fair.
So, like, subscribe, and tell your friends if you would like to get
100,000
a Buckeye leaf on me. Now I'm scared.
Now you're nervous.
But I do think that
how to add views to YouTube video.
How to delete views. I think the question that you raised there for Mr. Shoe is valid, because I think that when you're there every week, you can have a tendency to take the environment for granted.
Yes, and I feel that.
Because I have this argument on the Austin Birm Show with Burns. It's not good enough. It just
your counterpart on that show?
He does a few other days, the non-talking Tuesday.
I didn't
versions.
know that. I thought this was a once a week show.
Yeah, well, clearly you're helping depress the views. Thank you very much.
This is brutal.
I think, if Penn State is playing a noon game against a MAC opponent or Rutgers, is Beaver Stadium the most electrifying atmosphere in college football? It sure isn't. Mm-hmm. I've been there for earlier starts against Ohio State.
Last year, I did. I thought Austin was 10 times louder than Penn State.
They're not piping in, it's not the most intimidating place in the world to be at. But they are piping it in, so that does make it a little bit more annoying. My point is, when you have games like this, Ohio State fans have waited 8 months to be back in the horseshoe. They are starting number 1 versus number 2 in the coaches poll. The only poll that you should be paying attention to this week. Forget about the other one.
Yeah, the other one doesn't.
That one is just for clicks. Big noon. It's annoying. But I bet that will also enhance some of the vitriol, not just channeled towards Fox, but then also Texas. Like, whatever gets you fired up. And it's the matchup. It's being there at noon, getting an early start. It's a season opener. I will be absolutely stunned if that isn't one of the best atmospheres that I've ever been in. Would it be better at night? Yeah, maybe, but there's nothing that we can do about that at this point.
And the other thing is, and I think this is kind of crazy to say because I get frustrated about the night games. Everyone does. There's no difference at night. It's the same amount of people just acting differently. It's just,
why is that?
Well, you have a little bit of extra time to enjoy maybe a high C or two. Some people like to enjoy Sunny
Sugar
D's.
Rush.
Yes, that's a sugar. Eat a lot of Snickers.
Have you ever
throughout
had
the day.
the special Sunny Delights? They're so good.
The special Sunny Delights?
Yeah, they come.
They like strawberry flavored?
No.
Oh. Austin Ward.
Someday.
There's your sponsorship right there, Sunny D.
The adult Sunny Delights are an absolute
Austin
delight.
will put it right here every week.
I'm not allowed to drink it during the show, but afterwards,
He can hold it up and showcase
there's
it.
a very good chance that I will.
So 2 things. Sunny D, I hope you're watching. Number 2, 100,000 views.
I'll be in real trouble if Sunny Delight shares this video.
Oh my gosh.
And then I have to buy silver. Maybe Sunny Delight can fund all
You
of
didn't
it.
say how many stickers you're going to give
That's
out.
true.
You just got to give out at least 2. So
2?
The
Yeah,
2
that would be
loudest
multiple.
fans.
I'm going to rely on you to point out which ones there are. Hey, I have one more question. We haven't talked about anyone in camp. Who's going to return kicks and punts? And who's going to be the starting punter? And who's the starting kicker?
Listen, I have a whole different field than normal fans.
We haven't talked about specialists at all.
Listen, the punt returning and the kick returning, I know it was fun to watch Caleb Downs return that last year.
Kick return doesn't matter.
I hate it. It scares me to death. Yes, exactly. People are like, I want a kick return. I'm like, I want no one to touch a football.
Start on the 25.
Yes, exactly. I understand how electrifying that play was, but we went 10 years without that play being electrifying and guys just being tackled.
And now into 15 without a kickoff.
Yeah, I don't want to see Caleb back there. You shouldn't want to see that. I saw Travion Henderson back there for the Patriots. I'm like, what are you doing? That's your second round running back that you're just putting out there to get destroyed.
But those are the only 4 spots left on the depth chart that we don't know who's going to start against Texas.
We do, in fact, know that Austin Sarabelle will be the left tackle.
We do.
We
don't technically know who's going to start at right tackle, but I think we have a pretty good idea.
I think we have a pretty good idea.
But we're going to find out all of that, or we're going to try to.
Oh my gosh, the next time we do a Talking Tuesday, we will have a football game to talk about.
And we'll probably be talking more about that one than the one that's after it.
Yeah.
So,
What is that, Grambling?
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of questions.
That's a
for
real...
Grambling. We're going to have a lot of questions.
That atmosphere, we won't be talking about Mr. Shoe for that one.
Yeah, Mr. Shoe, I understand if you want to take a week off.
Yeah,
I guess.
That's fine too. Also, be a good opportunity if you've never been into the Shoe to just...
I'm trying to get my 90-year-old grandmother to a football game. She hasn't been in 20 years. She watches every Ohio State game. Maybe Grambling's the one.
There's the one. It's a perfect opportunity for it because those Texas tickets are pretty hard to come by.
They're tough. Got to get Meemaw to a game.
All right. Help Adam King's grandma get to a game this year.
3 things. Sunny D, 100,000 fans, and Meemaw. We got to get you to a game.
How many views will that take? I don't know. Yeah. We'll just put her up in the press box with us and maybe Brian Harlan.
You can't put her in the press box. She yells words that aren't allowed to be said in the press box.
That happens with some members of the team.
That is accurate.
Well.
You are not wrong.
We won't reveal that. We'll protect the identities, but we will have all... not me.
Not Austin.
I don't even know what those words mean.
Exactly.
I don't know what any of this means, but we're going to try and find some answers out from Ryan Day in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center as Texas Week ramps up. Can't wait for this one. I think Adam might be excited too. It's hard to tell. He's just a flat.
Just a little bit.
Oh, okay. You could just tell he's just always so cool and calm and collected.
Cool and collected.
But I appreciate Adam King, 10 TV, superstar, for joining me on a Talking Tuesday. I am merely Austin Ward. We'll be back with some snap judgments after Ryan Day talks. We'll have Birm for that one on the Austin Birm Show. But thanks for joining us for a Talking Tuesday again. We'll see you later.